So I'm going to start with a little personal share. So the Four Spades week last week was extremely eye-opening for me. So I realized that there was this specific goal that I had that was taking so long. And I mean, y'all bumping my head up against the wall, trying to figure out why this is just not panning out. And what I discovered last week was that there was this hidden limiting belief around it that one, I didn't even know it was there, hence why it's hidden, that I hadn't released around it. So what I realized is no matter how much I was dreaming about this thing, how I could feel it, how I can taste it, I had not done the identity work around it. And because I haven't done the identity work around it, it was just taking so long to actually manifest into my physical experience. And this hit me like a ton of bricks. And I knew I had to start making big shifts immediately. And how perfect is this timing, y'all? Because it is a Five of Spades week. Keep listening, and I'm going to tell you why this is so important. Hey, y'all, and welcome to the High Vibe Society podcast. I've been gone for a little bit, but for good reason. I swear, I'm working on something really good. If you know anything about human design, I am a profile type 2/4. In short, that means when the universe is giving me a download, sometimes I just need to hermit, so that I can actually create it. Right. So this episode is actually part of phase one. And what I'm sharing this week is actually my weekly energy forecast that I have been sharing with my email list for the last month. So if you aren't on it, jump on it because it's good. I talk about the cardology, the astrology as another layer of energy, spiritual and practical tips, and, some tips and tricks if you want to look at your own cards or your own chart. Just looking at your own unique energy. And of course, any other exclusive offers, they will always go to my email list first. So, anyways, if you find this and you're new to me and you're hearing me for the first time, my name is Dana Blackburn, and I teach spiritual wellness. I help people understand who they are and unstick the stuck. And I share ways to take spirituality and metaphysics and turn them into practical action steps to help you align with and call in spiritual love, wealth, and wellness. So think spirituality and metaphysics meets personal development. So, anyways, let's jump into this week. If you haven't been following me, if you're new to me, let me get you up to speed real quick. So, one of the there are two main modalities that I talk about, cardology and astrology. Um, and in cardology, each year, week, day is ruled by a specific energy, and it's symbolized by one of the cards in a 52 card playing card deck. So each week is governed by a specific energy, which means it has this particular collective theme to it. So I have a whole video on cardology in my playlist. Maybe it'll come up here and you can click on it. It will be the Align Your Vibe playlist. I believe it is video 3. It'll be about cardology. So you can listen to the whole playlist and learn how you can basically use cardology and astrology to get your whole life, like how you can understand more about what you're here to do and how you're meant to express that energy. Now, this week, the Five of Spades is literally about change, like big change, y'all, not just shifts in your emotions. That would be the Five of Hearts, or your thought patterns or your beliefs. That's the Five of Clubs, or changes with your material world or your money or your value system. That is a Five of Diamonds. This is literally about the change of what you are embodying. You can kind of even think about it as like almost like an identity shift, right? Because spades are about embodiments. It's not about thinking the thing, saying the thing. It's literally about being the thing, doing and being the thing, right? Which makes perfect sense because the Five of Spades is ruled by Venus and Mars energy. Venus being about the things you love and that make you feel good, and Mars about how you go after it, right? What you're motivated to go after. So the Five of Spades could look like sudden changes in your life or your lifestyle, or changes that you know need to happen or that you're being encouraged to make happen. Being that Mars is here, this could also be actual travel or moving, right? This card is actually a huge indicator for that. And again, as in my own case, this could have to do with personal development, right? Um, really looking at your life, the things that you want to accomplish, your goals, and understanding if you are in the appropriate vibration and frequency to be able to call that in. And if you're not, what in your life has to change? Not what do I have to think differently? Not, what do I have to attain or obtain? What do you physically have to go out and do? So collectively, there's this reinvention taking place or beginning, and trying to free ourselves from things that aren't serving us through these changes. That's essentially what the Five of Spades is. It's like this freedom through change. This is what's going to allow us to be able to make space for what's next. Now, with every energy, there is a higher vibrational side and a lower vibrational side, right? So the lower side of this energy, and I say all this because I want you to note if you find yourself falling on this end of the spectrum, is difficulty in letting go, right? So if there's this resistance or restlessness in your spirit or uncertainty because you know something needs to change, that's actually a good thing, right? You right on time. You right on time because we're in this Five of Spades energy. You're right on time. So the reason that it's coming up now and it's feeling uncomfortable, that discomfort is meant to make you move. Okay? What does God do? What does the universe do? When we need to move and we not moving, they gonna make us move. And sometimes it doesn't feel so nice, right? So think of this week as your opportunity to do it in a way where the universe is actually in the frequency of movement and change, and you can flow with it instead of going against it, right? Another thing sometimes on the lower side of this energy is being too changeable, being too changeable to the point where you're not really sticking with anything. You're not really giving something time to see what it is, which, is a problem because most of the fives in this deck, the Five of Diamonds, the Five of Clubs, and the Five of Spades, their evolution is to get them to an energy of balance, right? Fives become, except for the Five of Hearts, the Five of Clubs, the Five of Diamonds, and the Five of Spades, y'all all evolve into sixes. Sixes are about balance and alignment. So if you're never kind of sticking to something to see what you can build from it, it's harder to get to that point of alignment. And again, this is kind of advanced cardology. If you ever want to learn more, I definitely suggest you do. It's incredible. But the point is, fives have the ability to kind of adapt and flow, and they're very versatile because they need to be able to learn and to expand and to find the things that are in alignment with them in order to create. Okay. Now, if you were born on a Five of Spades day, like comedians Chris Rock and Dion Cole, Pastor Joel Osteen, and the Duchess Kate, and you can find your birth card down in the link in the description box below. This energy ruled by Venus and Mars blesses you with the courage and the determination and the drive and the motivation to overcome challenges and to achieve success. It's a really strong card. And I feel like because it's Venus Mars, it's that perfect blend of feminine and masculine energies, right? So if you see the Five of Spades in your yearly forecast or in your weekly forecast, and this week you'll get a little taste of it, even if it's not in your forecast, you want to ask yourself, where are you ready to make a change? What kind of change is the universe asking you to make to be able to align with your goals? Even if it means letting go of what's familiar, where do you need to be able to step out of your comfort zone? You just might get an answer, and it is up to you to take that first step, right? So the bottom line this week is take notice of the shifts that are happening around you and embrace them. The Five of Spades, it reminds you that change is actually the lead up to alignment, right? Every ending, every redirection, it is guiding you to greater freedom, to living your authentic, true nature, and to finding your purpose. Now, in my weekly emails, I show how to work with these energies each week from a spiritual and a practical standpoint, whichever you choose, or both, whatever floats your boat. This comes in the form of maybe journal prompts, affirmations, actual movement or physical practices, you know. So before we close out, I want to talk about this week's astrology. So the big story this week is Mars and Mercury. Let me start with Mars because Mars is talking to Jupiter on Tuesday. And this is important. Why? Because Mars governs our physical action. So this is something that we physically want to go out and do, something we feel inspired about, something that we feel passionate about. I mean, it could also be aggression, but we want to keep it positive here and not think that it's that, but it's trining Jupiter, right? So Mars is very like, let me take action. What can I do? What do we need to do? And Jupiter is like, how big can we do this thing, right? So those together, when the moon is in Capricorn, is about taking action towards something that you want to build or lay a foundation for, right? So this could be about, I mean, this energy is like kind of perfect with the Five of Spades, knowing that there needs to be a change made. So how are we gonna do that, right? How are we gonna do that in a way that is going to help us expand? Because that's what Jupiter is about. It's about expansion. It is about making better. Then on Wednesday, Mars, after having this conversation with Jupiter, is now trining Saturn. And here's why I like this energy. When people hear Saturn, they're like, oh God, right? Saturn is known as the wise teacher. It's known as, you know, restriction and lessons and all those things. And yes, while it is about those things, sometimes I do like to see Saturn with Mars, right? Because Mars is like the kid, right? It's like the kid that sees everything and wants to touch everything. They act on inspiration. They don't think first, right? Mars rules Aries. Jump first, figure out the parachute situation on the way down. Saturn is like the parent that's like, whoa, 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 whoa. You might not want to do that, right? Let's make sure we have this together first. So what this looks like on Wednesday is after we figure out how we want to expand and what steps we want to take to do that, Saturn is like, okay, cool, but how much of that shit is actually realistic, right? Let's actually let's ground this, right? Saturn rules Capricorn. This is earth energy. Let's ground this into reality and make sure that this can actually be done. So Jupiter is very optimistic and it will think it could do everything. And Saturn is like, let's pull back the reins a little bit and let's see how much of that is actually true, right? That can't hurt. Nothing wrong with that. On this same day, Wednesday, busy day, y'all. Mercury, which has been in Scorpio, is entering Sagittarius. Now, if you have any Sagittarius friends, most likely a lot of them probably have Mercury in Sag. You know, you have to have very thick skin, right? Mercury and Sagittarius, while they are amazing teachers, I find them to be um very philosophical, you know, very like big picture, and they'll really make you think, right? On the other end of that, hashtag no filter, right? So you gotta have real thick skin when you're dealing with a Sag, especially one with Mercury and Sagittarius. Um, so collectively, we are all kind of under this energy. And let me tell you, this might get interesting because Mercury retrograde, you know, the time of the year that is ripe for misunderstandings, miscommunications, is taking place in the sign of Sagittarius, right? So right now, this week, we are in the shadow phase of that retrograde, which officially begins November 8th. We're in the shadow period of that. So I'll talk about the retrograde maybe next week or the week after. Again, not only is this about the way we're communicating, but it's also about the way that we're processing. So coming out of Scorpio, there's this energy of what did I learn going beneath the surface and not just repressing things and pushing things away. But as Mercury leaves Scorpio and it enters Sagittarius, it takes this wisdom that it's learned, right? Scorpio is that death, rebirth energy. So, what did you release in order to adopt a new way of thinking or a new way of being? Right? It enters Sagittarius with this newfound energy, one that they can share. That's what Sagittarius energy kind of does. And this new like holistic way of thinking, right? So collectively, that is the energy that we're under. And we're gonna get a real chance to explore that as well on this same day. It's like Mercury like moved into like the corner office of a new job and now it wants to huddle with everybody this week. I mean, Mercury's talking to Neptune, Uranus, Pluto. So Mercury also on this day is trining Neptune retrograde in Pisces and opposing Uranus in Gemini. So with this configuration, it feels like this uh Mercury opposing Uranus. It's like this tug of war between Mercury's very logical, precise thinking versus Uranus's like, I am out there, out in space, next level, like nothing no one's ever seen and heard of before kind of energy, and trying to kind of meet in the middle. Now they're both talking to Neptune. It feels like Neptune's kind of like the tiebreaker here. And this is cool because Neptune's in retrograde. So that usual like haze, confusion, not having clarity that Neptune is known for, there's a little less of that. So it feels like between these two planets of uh thinking of the higher mind, Neptune is kind of infusing a little bit of intuition. So Neptune is saying, how can we infuse a little bit of intuitive flow here, right? And I think that really helps with that Mars trine Saturn. We take intuitive flow and then we take action and we take actually grounding it down into reality, right? So you have this element of everything, your logic, your intuition, right? And your ability to actually realistically take practical steps towards something. So I really love this energy for Wednesday, even though looking at it seemed a little chaotic at first, but when you really break it down and look at all the pieces and how they work together, this can really help. Okay, so finally we have Mercury sextiling Pluto in Aquarius. Now, Pluto in Aquarius, which, I mean, take a look at what's going on in the world right now, what's going on overseas, this current administration. If you have any idea what Pluto in Aquarius is capable of, it's that. And this is happening in order for us to understand what is limiting us from standing in our true authenticity at full capacity, at full power, right? A lot of what we thought we knew, a lot of what's been put in place and we've been taught is our foundation for a long time is going to be challenged over the next we're talking almost 20 years, right? So Mercury in Sagittarius sextiling Pluto in Aquarius is saying, now that we have this new understanding, now that we've had this this epiphany, this ability to see the big picture, what can we identify as the thing that has been limiting us personally and collectively, right? From standing in our power, from doing the right thing for everybody. The moon also happens to be in Aquarius on this day. So that's just where the collective energy is on this day, okay? But it is also for you based on what you learned, based on you kind of doing your own shadow work, being able to understand where you may not have been living in your truth and authenticity, and basically creating your own little upward spiral by standing in your own truth and in your own power. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Anyways, it has been real. Thank you so much if you stayed to the end. This was your weekly energy forecast. Again, check out the newsletter. There's a bunch of other stuff on it. Get additional information about the week, tips, tricks, guidance. Again, my offers for any personal sessions will be on there as well. And if you have any questions, there's anything you want me to answer or dig into, shoot me an email. It might come up on an episode of this podcast. If you like this episode, please hit that subscribe button, share with your friends, and until next week, peace.